When humans say, "Hold my beer," the galaxy instantly sets threat level to max Part 1. First contact. Fiasco Commander Jack Foster stood tall on the bridge of the USS Intrepid, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. Today was humanity's big day. First official contact with the Galactic Confederation. His palms were sweaty despite his military training. "Status report," he said to his crew. Lieutenant Noah Miller, the ship's young pilot, spun around in his chair with an eager grin. "All systems normal, Commander. The alien delegation will dock in 10 minutes. Dr. Olivia Franklin paced nervously nearby, her scientific equipment ready to analyze whatever, or whoever, came through those doors. As the ship's lead xenobiologist, she had dreamed of this moment her entire career. "Remember," Foster addressed, his team, "we represent all of humanity today. Best behavior from everyone." Miller nodded but couldn't hide his excitement. "Yes, sir, but can you believe it? Real aliens, I bet they have technology we can't even imagine." Foster frowned. "This isn't a joyride, Lieutenant. This is diplomacy." The docking bay signaled that connection was complete. The crew held their breath as the airlock cycled. When the doors finally opened, Ambassador Stor of the Galactic Confederation stepped through. The alien stood about 5 feet tall with smooth blue skin, 4 arms, and large eyes that seemed to take in everything at once. Behind Stor came representatives from 6 other species, each more strange than the last. "Greetings, humans of Earth," Stor said through a translation device. "On behalf of the 37 species of the Galactic Confederation, I welcome you to the interstellar community." Foster stepped forward with a practiced bow. "We are honored by your presence, Ambassador. Earth looks forward to peaceful relations with all your worlds." Stor blinked rapidly, which Dr. Franklin noted might be their equivalent of a smile. But the alien's next words were cautious. "We have observed your species for many decades. You are interesting. The Confederation Council has deemed humans potentially compatible with galactic society, though your risk assessment metrics are concerning." Dr. Franklin couldn't contain herself. She stepped forward, scanning device in hand. "Your physiological structure is fascinating. The 4-armed adaptation must provide significant evolutionary advantages. Is that exoskeleton partial or complete? And your respiratory system?" "Dr. Franklin," Commander Foster warned, but it was too late. The purple-skinned representatives from the Quillian delegation had already backed away, their neck frills expanding in what was clearly alarm. "Your scientist examines us like specimens?" one of them asked, voice high and offended. "This is most inappropriate." Foster stepped between them. "I apologize for the enthusiasm. Dr. Franklin means no disrespect. She is simply excited to learn." Stor waved 2 of his 4 hands in a calming gesture. "It is understandable. First contact often involves cultural misunderstandings." The tension eased slightly, but Foster could see that the aliens remained wary. This wasn't going according to plan. Lieutenant Miller leaned close to Foster. "Sir, maybe we should show them what humans can really do. They seem to think we're just awkward primitives." "Absolutely not," Foster whispered back. "We stick to the diplomatic protocol." But Miller was already moving toward the alien delegation. "Ambassador Stor, would your delegation be interested in seeing some of our piloting capabilities? I could demonstrate the Intrepid's maneuverability." The aliens looked at each other with expressions that even humans could read as concern. "That would be highly irregular," Stor said. "Our docking procedure follows strict safety protocols." Miller grinned. "Safety protocols are important, but sometimes you have to take risks to see what's possible." He turned to Dr. Franklin and handed her his cup of coffee. "Hold my beer. Well, coffee in this case, and watch this." Before Foster could stop him, Miller had invited the aliens to the observation deck and was already heading to the pilot station. "Lieutenant Miller, stand down," Foster ordered. But Miller had that look in his eyes that senior officers dreaded. "Just 5 minutes, Commander. I'll show them something they'll never forget." The aliens followed, curiosity apparently overcoming their caution. From the observation deck, they watched as Miller undocked the Intrepid with alarming speed. "This standard human procedure?" Zixter asked Foster, two of his hands gripping a support rail. "It most certainly is not," Foster said through gritted teeth. "Miller will face serious consequences." But outside the window, Miller was already putting the Intrepid through maneuvers that made even Foster's stomach turn. The ship spun, dove, and looped around the much larger alien flagship in patterns that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The Quillian delegates were making high-pitched noises of distress. One of them was actually hiding behind another. But Foster noticed something unexpected. The large reptilian aliens at the back of the group were watching with what appeared to be admiration. "Who are they?" Foster asked Zixtor, nodding toward the reptilians. "The Draxians," Zixtor replied, eyes fixed on Miller's wild flying. "A warrior species, they appreciate demonstrations of skill." One of the Draxians approached Foster. "Your pilot shows great spirit," it said in a rumbling voice. "The Confederation has become too cautious, too predictable. This is refreshing." Meanwhile, alarms were blaring from the alien flagship. "Your vessel has triggered our emergency protocols," Zixtor explained, all four hands now gripping the rail. "The Council is automatically raising Earth's threat assessment level. I assure you, we are not a threat," Foster said desperately. "Perhaps not intentionally," Zixtor replied, "but your willingness to take unnecessary risks makes you dangerous in ways you may not understand." When Miller finally returned to dock, the ship erupted in chaos. Foster ordered him confined to quarters. The Quillian delegates refused to continue the meeting. The Draxians were trying to speak privately with Miller, and Zixtor was receiving urgent communications from the Confederation Council. Dr. Franklin approached Foster, still holding Miller's coffee cup. "I've been analyzing their reactions. The Draxians are impressed, and even Zixtor seems more intrigued than truly angry." Foster sighed. "Small comfort if they decide humanity is too unpredictable to join their confederation." But when Zixtor finally returned from his private communications, his message was unexpected. "The Confederation Council has decided to accept Earth into the galactic community," he announced, "but with a special observation clause attached to your species. You will be closely monitored." "That's good news?" Foster asked cautiously. "It is unusual news," Zixtor replied. "Never before has a species been classified as both highly promising and maximum risk potential simultaneously." As the aliens prepared to leave, the Draxian who had spoken to Foster earlier approached again. "Your lieutenant's words, 'hold my beer,' what do they mean?" Foster thought for a moment. "It's a human expression. It means someone is about to do something impressive, or incredibly foolish." The Draxian made a sound that might have been laughter. "We will remember this phrase. Humans may bring some needed change to the galaxy." As the airlock closed behind the alien delegation, Foster turned to Dr. Franklin. "Well, somehow we didn't completely ruin humanity's first contact." Franklin nodded. "But I have a feeling the galaxy will never be quite the same now that they've met us." Foster looked out the viewport at the stars. "God help the Confederation," he said softly. "They have no idea what they're in for." When humans say, "hold my beer," the galaxy instantly sets threat level to max Part 2. The competitive Edge Admiral Stephanie Grant stood at the viewing window of the Galactic Confederation Central Hub, watching ships from dozens of species glide gracefully through space. 1 year had passed since Earth's awkward first contact, and humanity had been working hard to prove they belonged among the stars. "Quite a sight, isn't it?" asked Lisa Baker, her diplomatic aide. Lisa had a special talent for reading alien body language, which made her invaluable at gatherings like this. "Breathtaking," Admiral Grant agreed. "Though I get the feeling we're still not entirely welcome here." Lisa nodded. "The Confederation's war games are starting tomorrow. Every species is sending their best tactical minds to compete, except us. We're only allowed to watch." The war games were a century-old tradition where species showcased their military thinking in complex simulations. Earth had requested to participate, but the Confederation Council deemed humans too unpredictable to join. Admiral Grant, a cheerful voice called. Greg Martinez, Earth's top engineer, hurried toward them. You need to see the simulation chamber. The technology is incredible. Before Grant could respond, a tall, silver-skinned alien approached. This was Krexnar, champion of the Voltari, and undefeated in tactical simulations for the past 3 games. The humans, Krexnar said, his translator making his voice sound metallic. Here to learn how real spacefaring civilizations conduct warfare, Admiral Grant smiled politely. We're grateful for the opportunity to observe. Krexnar made a sound like scraping metal, which Lisa whispered was Voltari laughter. Observe is all you will do. Your species lacks the discipline for true tactical mastery. Your first contact demonstration made that quite clear. After Krexnar walked away, Martinez frowned. That guy really thinks he's something special. He is the reigning champion, Lisa reminded him. Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden flicker of the lights. Then darkness swept across the station, followed by emergency lighting that cast everything in a dim red glow. A voice came over the announcement system in multiple languages. Attention all beings. We are experiencing a critical power system failure. Please remain calm. Engineering. Teams are working to restore function. Aliens of all shapes and sizes began moving through the corridors. Some species that required special atmospheres looked particularly concerned. Admiral Grant found a Confederation official, a 6-limbed insectoid named Trask. What's happening? She asked. The main power coupling has failed, Trask explained, mandibles clicking with worry. Life support for several sections will fail within hours. Our engineers estimate 3 days to fabricate a replacement part. Martinez stepped forward. 3 days? That's too long for species that need special atmospheric conditions. We are following standard procedures, Trask insisted. The coupling is a complex piece of equipment. Martinez turned to Admiral Grant. I think I can create a bypass that would restore at least partial power within a few hours. Trask's antennae twitched. Impossible. The system requires precise calibration. Any mistake could cause a cascade failure. Sometimes you need to take risks to save lives, Martinez said. He turned to Lisa and handed her his tablet. Hold my beer. Lisa took the tablet with a small smile, recognizing the phrase that had become famous after first contact. Admiral, your engineer cannot interfere with Confederation systems, Trask protested. Grant faced the alien calmly. People will die while your engineers follow protocols. Let him try. After a tense discussion with higher-ranking Confederation officials, Martinez was allowed to work alongside the alien engineers. He moved with quick confidence, repurposing parts from his own equipment to create a makeshift bypass. This won't fix the problem permanently, he explained as he worked, but it will keep life support running until they can replace the coupling properly. Aliens gathered to watch him work. Some looked concerned, others curious. The Draxians, Earth's strongest supporters since first contact, nodded with approval at his methods. 4 hours later, the lights came back on. Cheers erupted from multiple species as atmosphere regulators hummed back to life. He did it, Lisa said proudly to Admiral Grant. He actually did it. But not everyone was celebrating. Krexnar pushed through the crowd toward them, his silver skin reflecting the restored lights. This human tampered with critical systems, he said loudly. How convenient that a failure occurred right before the war games, allowing humans to demonstrate their supposed skills. Are you accusing us of sabotage? Admiral Grant asked, keeping her voice level. Humans want to participate in the games, Krexnar continued. What better way to prove yourselves worthy than to create a problem you can then solve? The crowd murmured. Martinez stepped forward, face flushed with anger. I just saved lives while your people stood around following protocols. Admiral Grant put a hand on Martinez's shoulder. We did not cause this failure. But since you question our abilities, perhaps the Confederation would allow us to prove ourselves properly. She turned to address the gathered officials. Let Earth participate in the war games. If we fail, we'll accept that we're not ready. If we succeed, we earn our place as equals. The officials conferred among themselves in various languages and communication methods. Finally, the head of the council stepped forward. Your engineers' quick thinking saved many lives today. In recognition of this service, humans will be allowed to compete in tomorrow's games. The next day, Earth's small team entered the simulation chambers. They faced opponents with centuries more experience in space warfare and Confederation tactics. But humans had something the others didn't: unconventional thinking. In the first round, they faced a classic pincer movement from the Arcturian team. Instead of retreating or fighting directly, Martinez suggested abandoning their damaged ships as decoys while the crew escaped in stealth pods to capture the enemy from behind. That's not in any tactical manual, Lisa observed as they programmed their solution. Exactly, Admiral Grant said with a smile. Round after round, the humans advanced. Their solutions baffled the alien strategists, who relied on established doctrines and historical precedents. By the end of the day, Earth had secured a place in the finals against Krexanar's Voltari team. As they prepared for the final match, a Confederation security official approached Admiral Grant. I must inform you, the official said quietly, that the Council has raised Earth's threat level again. Your tactical approaches are disturbing to many species. Disturbing or effective? Grant asked. Before the official could answer, a tall Draxian warrior approached. Humans, he rumbled in his deep voice. You fight with spirit. My people would speak with yours about a potential alliance. We recognize kindred spirits when we see them. Admiral Grant smiled. We would be honored. As they entered the final simulation chamber, Martinez grinned at his team. Ready to show the galaxy what humans can really do? Admiral Grant nodded. Just remember, sometimes being unpredictable is our greatest strength. When humans say, hold my beer, the galaxy instantly sets threat level to max part 3. The impossible rescue captain. Sam Rogers paced the bridge of the USS Daring, Earth's newest and fastest emergency response vessel. The ship had been built using a mix of human ingenuity and alien technology shared by the Draxians, Earth's first true allies in the Galactic Confederation. Status report, Rogers called to his crew. Chief Engineer Paul Carter looked up from his station. Dark circles under, his eyes from working through the night. All systems are running beyond safety limits, Captain, but they're holding. Dr. Kelly Harper, the ship's medical researcher, entered the bridge with a tablet in hand. The radiation treatment is ready for testing. If it works, it should protect our crew for up to 6 hours in the extreme conditions. Rogers nodded grimly. 3 days ago, a rare stellar flare had hit the Voltari system without warning. The Voltari, once Earth's rivals, now faced extinction as their planet's atmosphere was rapidly breaking down. The Confederation had deemed the radiation levels unsurvivable and evacuation impossible given the time frame. Play the message again, Rogers ordered. The screen lit up with the silver face of Krexnar, now the leader of the Voltari emergency government. His once proud features were strained with desperation. This is our final communication to the Confederation. Our atmospheric processors have failed. Without them, our planet will be uninhabitable within 48 hours. We request any assistance possible for our remaining people. The message ended, and Rogers turned to face the view screen showing the swirling, angry red star ahead. How long until we reach Voltari space? He asked. 4 hours, Captain, his pilot answered, but the radiation levels are already climbing. No Confederation ship has ever operated in these conditions. Rogers smiled slightly. That's because no Confederation ship is crewed by humans. 2 days earlier, the Confederation Council had voted against sending a rescue mission. The Vorlon ambassador Trellix had led the decision, citing mathematical models that gave any rescue ship a survival probability of less than 3%. Earth's president had overruled the human representatives on the council. We're going. Anyway, she had announced, prepare the Daring for immediate launch. The Confederation had protested. Trellix had personally visited Rogers before departure. Your mission is mathematically impossible, the ambassador had said, his elongated features showing what Rogers assumed was concern. You will die, and your deaths will accomplish nothing. Rogers had simply smiled. Ambassador, humanity has a long history of accomplishing the mathematically impossible. Now, as they approached the edge of the Voltari system, Rogers called the crew to attention. We all know what we're facing, he said. The Confederation says this can't be done. They say the radiation will kill us before we can repair the Voltari atmospheric processors. He looked around at the determined faces of his crew. I told the Confederation Council to hold our collective beer, Galaxy. Now it's time to show them what humans can do when lives are at stake. A cheer went up from the crew. Dr. Harper began administering the experimental radiation treatment while Chief Engineer Carter made final adjustments to the shields. The treatment will buy us time, Harper explained as she injected Rogers. But it's untested. We don't know exactly how long it will protect us. We'll move fast, Rogers promised. The USS Daring broke through the outer reaches of the Voltari system, its modified shields glowing brightly against the radiation storm. Alarms immediately began to sound across the bridge. Radiation levels, at 400% of maximum safe exposure, the computer warned. How are the shields holding? Rogers asked. Carter's fingers flew across his control panel. I've modified them using principles the Confederation scientists dismissed as too unstable. They're working better than expected, but they won't last forever. As they approached the Voltari homeworld, the view was heartbreaking. The once beautiful silver planet was now shrouded in a sickly yellow haze as its protective atmosphere disintegrated. We're receiving a transmission from the surface, the communications officer reported. Krexnar's face appeared again, now showing shock. Humans? You came? The Confederation said rescue was impossible. We disagree with their assessment, Rogers replied simply. We're here to repair your atmospheric processors. Send us the coordinates of the main facility. Working against time, the Daring landed near the largest atmospheric processor. Teams in special protective suits rushed out, carrying equipment, designed by Chief Engineer Carter. The Voltari met them, their silver skin dull from radiation exposure. Our scientists say the processors cannot be repaired, one of them told Carter as they entered the facility. The radiation has damaged key components beyond recovery. Carter grinned despite the danger. Your scientists haven't worked with humans before. We specialize in impossible repairs. Inside, the facility was in chaos. Radiation had indeed destroyed critical systems. Carter studied the damage, then turned to his team. We can't fix it conventionally, he admitted, but we can bypass the damaged sections and reroute power through our ship's systems temporarily. That would burn out the Daring's power core, his assistant pointed out. Yes, Carter agreed, but it would restart the atmospheric processors. Back on the ship, Rogers received the news of Carter's plan with a grim nod. Do it, he ordered. We'll worry about getting home afterward. While Carter's team worked on the processors, Dr. Harper treated radiation sickness in the Voltari who had been exposed. Among her patients was Krexnar himself. Why did you come? He asked her weakly. After how my people treated yours. Harper continued working as she answered. Humans don't leave others to die, even former rivals. The Confederation was correct about us, Krexnar said. You are dangerous, but not in the way they thought. Outside, the crew of the Daring connected their ship's power core to the atmospheric processors. The strain on the systems caused parts of the ship to overload and catch fire. We're losing hull integrity in sections 3 through 7, the computer warned. Evacuate those sections, Rogers ordered. Keep the power flowing to the processors. For tense hours, they worked as the ship slowly sacrificed itself to save the planet. Radiation alarms blared constantly. Crew members collapsed from exposure despite the treatments. But they kept working. Then, miraculously, the yellow haze around the planet began to clear. It's working, Carter reported through a strained voice. The processors are coming back online. On the bridge, Rogers watched as the atmospheric readings began to stabilize. Status of the ship? He asked. Critical, came the reply. We've lost 40% of our systems. The power core is nearly burnt out. Rogers nodded. Begin evacuation of all non-essential personnel to the Voltari shelters. We'll need to make repairs before we can leave. 2 weeks later, the damaged USS Daring limped back to Confederation space. They were met by an honor guard of ships from multiple species led by the Draxians. The news had spread quickly. Humans had done the impossible. They had survived conditions deemed mathematically unsurvivable. They had saved a species that once looked down on them. The Confederation Security Council held an emergency session. Earth's threat level was raised to unprecedented heights, but with an unusual addition: essential ally in extreme circumstances. As Rogers stood before the council to give his report, Ambassador Trellix asked the question everyone wanted answered. How did you succeed when our models predicted certain failure? Rogers smiled. Because humans don't accept that math always has the final word, Ambassador. Sometimes you have to ignore the odds and just do what's right. As he left the council chamber, Rogers found Krexnar waiting. The Voltari leader bowed, deeply. My people owe yours a debt we can never repay, Krexnar said. From this day forward, the Voltari stand with Earth in all matters before the Confederation. Rogers shook his head. We didn't do it for political gain. I know, Krexnar replied. That's precisely why you have gained so many new allies today. When humans say, hold my beer, the galaxy instantly sets threat level to max part 4. The Galactic chess game director Julia Thompson looked out from her office window at the sprawling headquarters of Earth's Interspecies Relations Agency. In the Edaisom, 3 years since the Voltari rescue, humanity had gained respect across the galaxy. But with that respect came new challenges. Director, the intelligence reports are ready, said Agent Maria Crawford as she entered the room. Thompson nodded and took the tablet. Agent Crawford was Earth's best intelligence specialist, with an uncanny ability to spot patterns others missed. The data on the screen confirmed what they had suspected for months. So it's true, Thompson said quietly. The Arcturian Dominion is building military strength beyond the limits set by Confederation treaties. Crawford nodded grimly. And they're not alone. We've detected at least 4 other species forming secret alliances. The Confederation is fracturing from within. In a conference room down the hall, Kyle Bennett waited. As Earth's top diplomat with an unusual background in professional poker, he had been chosen specifically for this mission. His ability to read faces, even alien ones, and to bluff convincingly made him uniquely qualified. Thompson and Crawford joined him, closing the door securely behind them. The situation is worse than we thought, Thompson said. If we report our findings through official channels, the Arcturians will know we're onto them, and they might accelerate their plans. Bennett studied the data. So we need to play this differently, more like a poker game than traditional diplomacy. Exactly, Thompson agreed, which is why we're not following Confederation protocols. We're doing this the human way. The plan they developed was risky. Rather than report the Arcturian military buildup to the Confederation Council, Bennett would infiltrate high-level diplomatic gatherings and use his poker skills to mislead the conspirators about Earth's knowledge. We'll make them think we know, less than we do, Bennett explained. Then feed them carefully crafted misinformation that will cause them to expose themselves. 2 weeks later, Bennett found himself at a grand reception on the Confederation Central Hub. The room sparkled with the galaxy's elite, ambassadors, trade representatives, and high-ranking officials from dozens of species. High Chancellor Vexaz of the Arcturian Dominion stood in the center of a group of admirers. Tall and imposing with gleaming silver-black skin, Vexaz was known for his sharp intelligence and even sharper ambition. Bennett moved casually through the crowd, collecting bits of conversation. The Arcturians were careful with their words, but their body language told him much more. They were nervous, waiting for something. When Vexaz finally approached him, Bennett was ready. The human diplomat, Vexaz said smoothly. I understand. Your people have been quite active in the Outer Rim sectors recently. Bennett smiled pleasantly. We're simply exploring trade opportunities, Chancellor. Earth is still new to interstellar commerce. Of course, Vexaz replied, his silvery eyes unblinking, though some might find it curious that your exploration ships have such impressive sensor arrays, almost as if they were looking for something specific. This was it. The veiled challenge. Bennett handed his champagne glass to a nearby server. "Hold. My champagne," he said with a wink. Then he leaned closer to Vexaz and lowered his voice. "Between us, Chancellor, Earth is concerned about pirate activity in the Rigel sector. Nothing more." The lie was perfect, close enough to their actual operations to be believable, but pointing in the completely wrong direction. Bennett watched, as the tension in Vexaz's posture eased slightly. "Pirates," Vexaz repeated. "Yes, they can be troublesome." Back on Earth, Director Thompson received Bennett's coded message with satisfaction. "The bait has been taken," she told Agent Crawford. "Now we watch how they react." Within days, Arcturian military vessels began to shift away from their hidden positions near Earth's trade routes and toward the Rigel sector. The move left their secret shipyards exposed, exactly as planned. "They think we're distracted looking for pirates," Crawford explained as she showed the movement patterns to Director Thompson. "But they've just revealed the location of 3 previously unknown military installations." While Earth monitored the Arcturians, Agent Crawford made another discovery, one far more troubling than military buildups. "Director, you need to see this," she said, placing a data crystal on Thompson's desk. "I've found evidence that the Confederation's leadership has been systematically manipulating lesser species, including restricting human advancement." The data showed a clear pattern. Every time a younger species like humanity developed technology that might challenge the established power balance, the Confederation created new regulations to slow them down. Resources were diverted, research restricted, all under the guise of safety protocols. "This goes all the way to the top," Crawford explained. "The oldest species in the Confederation have been ensuring they stay in power for centuries." Thompson's expression hardened. "So the threat level system isn't just about safety, it's about control." The next phase of Earth's plan was even more daring. Instead of confronting the Confederation directly, they began forming their own network of allies. The Draxians were first, followed by the grateful Voltari. Soon other species who appreciated human ingenuity joined them: the practical Tellarites, the innovative Rigelians, and even the usually cautious Denobulans. These quiet alliances were built on mutual respect rather than fear or manipulation. Earth shared its technology freely with these partners, helping them bypass the Confederation's restrictive protocols. 6 months into this shadow diplomacy, High Chancellor Vexaz requested a private meeting with Bennett. "You have been playing a dangerous game, human," Vexaz said when they met in a secure location. "Did you think we wouldn't notice your alliance building?" Bennett smiled. "We hoped you would notice, Chancellor, just as we noticed yours." Vexaz's eyes narrowed. "The difference is that we built our alliances for conquest. What is your purpose?" "Balance," Bennett replied simply. The Confederation was meant to be a community of equals, not a hierarchy where older species control younger ones. For a long moment Vexaz was silent. Then, surprisingly, he laughed. "You humans continue to surprise me. We thought you naive, but you've been outmaneuvering the Confederation at their own game." "We learned from watching all of you," Bennett said. "The difference is that we're not interested in replacing one controlling power with another. We want genuine cooperation." When the Confederation Security Council finally became aware of the extent of Earth's diplomatic network, they were forced to convene an emergency session. Thompson, Bennett, and Crawford represented Earth. "You have violated numerous protocols," the council chair began, "creating unauthorized alliances, sharing restricted technologies, conducting intelligence operations outside approved channels." "All true," Director Thompson acknowledged calmly. "And in doing so, we exposed both the Arcturian military buildup and the Council's own program of systematic suppression of younger species." The chamber erupted in shouting and denials. Thompson waited for the noise to subside before continuing. The threat level designation system itself has been weaponized to keep species like mine in their place. But that system is now obsolete. She gestured to the representatives of a dozen species who had entered the chamber behind her. Earth's new allies. We suggest a new approach, Thompson said. One based on cooperation rather than control. One that values innovation and calculated risk-taking instead of fearing it. The council was stunned into silence. Their carefully maintained power structure was crumbling before them. Bennett leaned toward Thompson and whispered, "I think we just changed the game." Thompson nodded with a small smile. "And the galaxy will never be the same. When humans say 'hold my beer,' the galaxy instantly sets threat level to max Part 5. The Zorlak incursion fleet Admiral John Russell stared at the holographic display showing the devastation. 3 Confederation worlds destroyed in the past month. Billions of lives lost. The enemy ships appeared without warning, attacked without mercy, and vanished before substantial forces could respond. "The Zorlak," he whispered, the name sending shivers through the room. For centuries, the Zorlak had been considered a myth, a scary story to frighten children, monstrous predators who consumed entire civilizations. Now the myth had become reality. "Admiral, the emergency council meeting is about to begin," his aide said quietly. In the 5 years since Earth had reformed the Confederation's power structure, humanity had earned a seat on the High Council. President Alicia Turner, the first human to serve in this role, was already seated when Russell arrived. The council chamber was in chaos. Representatives from dozens of species argued, some demanding immediate military action, others suggesting surrender or isolation. "Order," called the council chair. "We must respond with unity and wisdom." President Turner stood. The room fell silent. "The Zorlak have destroyed 3 worlds," she said. "Our conventional defenses have failed. Their technology seems to defy our understanding of physics." A tall, gray-skinned Voltari rose. "Our scientists have analyzed the remnants of their weapons. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our records." "Perhaps Dr. Hayes can offer insight," President Turner suggested. "She specializes in theoretical physics beyond our current understanding." Dr. Victoria Hayes was summoned from Earth's research facility. She was young for such a prominent position, but her brilliance was unquestioned. She studied the data in silence while the council waited anxiously. "The Zorlak aren't using impossible technology," she finally said. "They're using principles we've theorized but never implemented because the energy requirements and instability make them too dangerous to pursue." "Can we develop countermeasures?" President Turner asked. Hayes nodded slowly. "In theory, yes. I've been working on a weapon that could disrupt their ship's energy fields. But it would require placing the device directly in the path of their fleet. The ship carrying it would almost certainly be destroyed." The council erupted again. "Suicidal! Mathematically impossible. Too risky." Admiral Russell exchanged looks with General Dextar, the Draxian military leader who had become Earth's strongest alien ally. Both understood what needed to be done. "We'll do it," Russell said firmly, silencing the room. "Human and Draxian ships will carry Dr. Hayes' device." President Turner addressed the council. "The galaxy once called humans dangerous. Watch how dangerous we can be when we're on your side." Over the next week, Dr. Hayes worked without rest to build her theoretical weapon. Chief engineers from Earth and allied species contributed, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Meanwhile, Admiral Russell developed a battle plan that even he admitted was barely short of insane. The Confederation fleet would serve as bait, drawing the Zorlak ships into position while specially modified human vessels carrying Hayes' technology would make a run at the enemy mothership. "The success probability is below 12%, a Voltari scientist warned during the final briefing. "We've faced worse odds," Russell replied with a grim smile. As the combined fleet prepared for departure, General Dextar approached Russell. "This phrase your people use, on hold my beer, I wish to understand it better," the Draxian said. Russell considered how to explain. "It means we're about to do something others think is crazy or impossible. It's a way of saying, watch this, when taking a risk. Dextar nodded solemnly. Then today we all hold the beer for the galaxy. The fleet departed to meet the Zorlak at the edge of the Andromeda sector, where the enemy had been predicted to appear next. Almost 900 ships from 32 species flew together, the largest armada in Confederation history. Aboard his flagship, Russell received the signal that the Zorlak had been detected. All ships, battle positions, he ordered. Remember, the plan. Draw them toward the target zone. The Zorlak ships emerged from what appeared to be tiers in space itself, massive black vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with impossible speed, immediately, targeting the largest Confederation vessels. They're taking the bait, Russell said as he watched the main Confederation fleet engage the enemy. Prepare Hayes's ships for the run. Dr. Hayes's voice came through the communication system from her position on one of the modified vessels. The disruptors are ready, Admiral. We'll only get one shot at this. The battle was brutal. Confederation ships exploded under the Zorlak weapons faster than Russell had predicted. The aliens weren't following any known battle pattern, making them almost impossible to counter effectively. We're losing too many ships too quickly, his tactical officer reported. The Zorlak mothership is still too far from the target zone. Russell made a quick decision. Signal the Hayes ships. They go now, even though conditions aren't optimal. Across the battlefield, species that had once considered humans dangerously unpredictable now watched as Earth vessels dove straight into the heart of the enemy fleet. Some of the most cautious races in the galaxy found themselves uttering the human phrase, "Hold my beer," as they abandoned safety protocols to follow Earth's lead. Dr. Hayes's ship took heavy damage as it approached, the Zorlak mothership. Systems failed around her. Crew members fought to keep the vessel intact long enough to deploy the weapon. We're not going to make it, her pilot said, as another blast rocked the ship. Hayes looked at the diagram showing the mothership's position. We're close enough. Deploy the disruptor. The device launched a small probe that seemed insignificant against the massive enemy vessel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a wave of energy pulsed outward from the probe, washing over the Zorlak ships. The effect was immediate and stunning. The alien vessels froze in space, their strange energy fields collapsing. The tiers in space they had created sealed themselves. It's working better than predicted, Hayes reported, surprise evident in her voice. The disruption is cascading through their entire fleet. The Confederation ships pressed their advantage, targeting the now vulnerable enemy vessels. Within hours, the battle had turned. The Zorlak mothership, crippled by Hayes's technology, attempted to retreat but was surrounded by Draxian warships. When it was over, the combined fleet had suffered heavy losses, but the Zorlak threat had been neutralized. As the remaining ships limped home, word spread quickly throughout the galaxy. Humanity and their allies had saved the Confederation. 3 months later, the Confederation formally abolished the threat level system that had once labeled humanity as dangerously unpredictable. In its place, they established a capability index that valued creative problem-solving and calculated risk-taking. At the ceremony marking this change, Admiral Russell watched with pride as representatives from previously cautious species approached problems with new perspective. A young officer from the historically risk-averse Vorlon species approached a difficult repair on the station. Handing his drink to a colleague, he uttered words that would have been unthinkable before humans joined the galactic community. Hold my nutritional supplement, he said, before attempting a daring fix that no Vorlon would have considered possible. Before. Russell smiled. The galaxy had changed forever, and humanity had found its place among the stars, not despite their willingness to take risks, but because of it. The most dangerous species, he murmured to himself, are often the ones you need most when facing the impossible.